happens. Big stories for today, breaking you down in our big three. The government shutdown is ending by now. You've probably heard the Senate has passed that key vote last night to move things along. They needed 60 votes all along. It isn't as if we heard it was the Republicans that shut down the government, that caused folks to be able to go without food, and of course, government workers not to be able to will get paid as well. We heard it was Republicans, but finally, last night, 8 Democrats came along for the ride in the vote. And they are now one step closer. It's not open yet, but this is the thing about the Senate. We've kind of discussed this, but that's why most of what's happened. And by the way, I've got to get in. I've got to kind of rip into sort of the after effects and what really happened while we're here, and what you can expect to happen next on this whole thing. But you know, it's critical. This understanding of how the Senate works. Most people don't. They just don't know. And that's why Democrats are able to get away with what they got away with so far. And I'll get into more of that on the way. But still some good news. Now, the left posting pics of those Democrat senators who voted to end the filibuster. I'll tell you all about the left. You need to know. Eating their own as we speak. Well, the January 6th pipe bomber may have finally been identified. Over the weekend, the news came out. A former Capitol police officer is a forensic match, according to reports at the Blaze. This is a wild story, and one, folks, that I guess you probably won't hear anywhere else. I've yet to see the nightly news pick this one up. I've yet to see Anderson Cooper do anything on this. Yet to see MSDNC talk about it at all. And boy, oh boy, that's no surprise to you or me. But the story that they found, and this is a big one. According to forensic matches, videotape, etc., that they were able to get, they've done some AI on this as well. DNA, geolocation, not available just yet, but some other forensic evidence pointing to that unnamed ex-officer. We'll tell you who it is and why this matters on the way. And I don't know, my question is, how come we're not hearing about this from Kash Patel?
Number 3.
More snow on the way today could make things tricky on the roads. I noticed a couple of slick spots still yet on the highways and off-ramps too. The ramps are going to be interesting to deal with as well. So keep an eye on that. And then they say another foot, they say, on top of the 6 to 8 inches they've already got. If you're down along the lakeshore around Indiana, the border there, down power lines in Jenison, shutting down a major road there, knocking out some power across the state or across the area as well. So we'll continue to keep you updated. Our news, headlines, and more. Bottom of the hour coming up right here on Wood Radio. Join the program. Love to have you today if you care. MKD Funeral Homes provides that talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. You just tap that microphone button. Let it rip.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Yeah, still, are you especially working towards a weekend on a snowy Monday? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, me too, kind of. All right, I want to talk about the January 6th pipe bomber, but let's put that to the side because that's a big one. That's going to tie into the pardons that came out last night. If you haven't heard that, we'll join our good friend Pat Kolbeck, who talks election integrity. In fact, these were election-related pardons from 2020 President Trump made last night, and the DOJ, we've got word, actively working to free one of the folks who's still been a political prisoner in all of this. So we can talk about that, and I'll dig into the January 6th pipe bomber information so you can have all of it. But in the meantime, where are we? Well, the Democrats caved. They finally got, I guess, some sort of deal. There are 8 that have moved, and this is the process to move things along, shut down debate. They said we're going to vote to close debate. And they needed 60 to do that. That's according to the rule process they have. You've already heard all this talk. We mentioned some of it last week about the filibuster, ending the filibuster and getting right down to business. So this is a big move. The Democrats growing weary, and let's not forget, right? Sort of the quiet part out loud we've been telling you is that we were hearing they were going to wait until after the election. So I want you to get this straight, and especially if you have any inclination to vote left, to lean left, to even carry water for the Democrats. They, again, as I mentioned last week, don't care. They don't care how much pain federal workers go through. They don't care how much the people weren't getting a paycheck. They don't care how much pain people on SNAP benefits go through. And why? The strategy all along, by the way, it kind of paid off. The strategy all along was to run this play and then count on the media to carry their water throughout the entire process. And that's exactly what they've done. And it was nearly flawless. Now, this may backfire in some ways, because today the question I will pose to you, and the question I think that many should be asking, is if they could have, and by the way, they didn't get anything. They didn't hardly, I don't think they got anything. They caved on this whole process, and they didn't get any of the stuff that Schumer was trying to shake folks down for. There's still no funding for illegal immigrants for their health care. None of that happened. They didn't get any of the big concessions, from what I understand. The plan that's out there isn't. It's not a massive win for Democrats. So they've got folks, simultaneously as all of this is going on, they've got folks in their own court who are saying, gosh, because they buy into the extremist talk. Gosh, why didn't we hold out? Well, Trump wasn't going to cave. He wasn't backing down. The Senate taking the first step to end the government shutdown. This, according to AP Sunday, after a group of moderate Democrats agreed to proceed without a guaranteed extension of health care subsidies. So that's what they said the whole thing was over. I really don't think so. I think this is what you watched was a test, because they're going to have that conversation. And I want to tell you why, because you have to have that conversation. People are signing up for their benefits right now. If they're in the marketplace and they're getting benefits, they're going to see their rates jump astronomically the first of the year. So I think Republicans are going to want to move on that, regardless of how you feel about Obamacare. I think that's probably the best move for now. Till you get a chance to actually and completely overhaul that system. Because one thing you have to remember about Obamacare, it was designed to fail, folks. I mean, this was the Cloward and Piven strategy all along. They wanted to collapse the system, and they're well on their way to doing that. They call this, the AP calls it a test vote. In a test vote, that is the first in a series of required procedural maneuvers, the Senate voted 60-40 to move toward passing compromise legislation to fund the government and hold a later vote on extending Affordable Care Act tax credit. This is always the way it should have been done. So now, if you are someone who has felt the pain, you've had flights delayed, maybe your paycheck has been delayed because you're a federal employee. Maybe you haven't had any SNAP benefits because Democrats shut the government down and tried to point the finger and blame Donald Trump along with the media. Your question is, if they were just going to cave and end up doing this, couldn't they have done this 40 days ago? Couldn't they have just done this 40 days ago? The original plan from Republicans was, hey, let's keep the government open. Let's make this vote. Let's keep the government open. And let's have the conversation as we've got time moving this along about the Obamacare subsidies, et cetera. Couldn't we have done that? No. Democrats didn't want that. And now you're starting to learn why. You're getting a good look. I'll tell you why. And this is the thing. Until you get this and you really lock it in, you won't ever get it. The folks on the right, in the right, the folks with truth, logic, and common sense don't want to save the country as much as Democrats and the folks on the left want to tear it down.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9.
This Monday, November 10th, I'm Robin Kaufman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Talk about a disturbing development. The head of the Michigan National Guard with a warning about China. Major General Paul Rogers telling lawmakers here in Michigan Chinese nationals are constantly probing the state's military properties. In other news, Attorney General Dana Nessel is requesting a public hearing on the proposed massive data center in Saline Township. Many residents oppose the project. The Whitmer administration has been trying to fast-track it without outside input. And the ACLU here in Michigan is busy defending the practice of doxing ICE agents. This is a process of exposing who they are and where they live. This unfortunate practice follows a dramatic 1,000% spike in attacks against ICE officers across the country. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Carrots Appliance. What's new this holiday season? How?
Well. Welcome in, folks. The behind-the-scenes live stream rolling right along. Sorry for a little bit of delays. Looks like everybody's up and running, though, this morning. That's good. On the locals feed, good to see you, Mendo. Good to see you, Gritter. Good to see you, Patriot Dean's in the house. Thank you, brother. Appreciate your recent support. He's back at it. Emmy in the house. Thank you, brother. Tim, the Road King. Gritter, good point, my friend. Very interesting, Michigan. Joe, Karen, good to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sharon. BKVE, good to see you as well. Lots of folks jumping in this morning, and I'll just say hi to the folks on Rumble as well, the Rumblers. Want to sound off, hit a Rumble rant this morning, and we'll get to it first and foremost. Obviously, the VIPers in the Freedom Fam, just $7 a month to join in there, by the way. They get precedence, but then we'll hit the Rumble ramps. If you've got something, you got to get on the air. Trish, good to see you. Jen Lynn, Tennisel, History Diggers, Whiskers, L. Waldron, and Julianne, and so many more on the book this morning. Appreciate you, bookers. Mike Evans, good to see you. Karen, thank you so much. A lot of good folks this weekend I got a chance to run into. Katie, how are you, Sherry? At the 3rd Congressional District big shield dinner this weekend with our good friend Jason Jones, talking border security and more. Really good time. By the way, hang on.
Auto Law, auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Getting out of debt is just the beginning. Financial peace can change everything, folks. Learn how to take control of your money with The Ramsey Show. Tonight at 6 on Wood Radio.
Hey, thanks to the folks at the American Shield Dinner this weekend with the 3rd Congressional District. Man, we had a great time. Jason Jones, the speaker. And I didn't get a chance to get a picture with you, ma'am, and I apologize. I know we tried, but we didn't have that key. You didn't have the phone and the camera ready. But she said, let me ask you a question about that Good Feet store. Did they really work? Oh, you better believe it. And I'm going to tell you, foot pain, back pain, it's all gone. since I walked into the Good Feet store, and I have never felt that. It's not just that. It's not just, throbbing, aching pain. It's just comfort. You're on your feet all day long, and you just want to feel more comfortable. At the end of the day, or maybe 3 o'clock rolls around, you got to prop your feet up. That's not fun, right? Especially when you got to keep going. But if you're like me and you've been all over lately at these different events, very similar, I got to wear the dress shoes. I got to dress up, all of that stuff. Well, the best part about their personalized arch support system, well, it goes in any shoe. I mean, even your slippers at home, you can put this thing inside and you are going to feel, I think, if you're like me, the difference in an amazing way. Time to get comfortable again and maybe do all those activities you've been putting off for a while. The Good Feet store, 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage, Westnedge, right in front of Kohl's. Walk in today and tell them I sent you. The Good Feet store. I'm telling you, it is. It's incredible. And yes, ma'am. By the way, they do work. They are incredible. Okay. It's January 6th pipe bomber stuff. I want to get into some of this, and maybe Pat Colbeck can weigh in too. But just the details of this are quite interesting. The Blaze with the reporting, they've had this story. This is the craziest thing about this is that they've all known about it. In fact, I've got some heads up from folks in Congress over the weekend that said, yeah, we've been keeping an eye on this. We've had our eye on this for a long time. Because this story, imagine this. The individual who was right next to these people on a daily basis, working, supposed to secure the Capitol, was responsible, possibly, for what actually happened there. A computer program has compared the bomb suspect's gait to that of a former police officer at the Capitol, according to the Blaze. Shawnee Kirkhoff produced a 94% match. Now, I know they're going to be careful about how they've done this, and the Blaze is a reputable source. They do due diligence. So I will tell you, in order to say somebody's name like that, put the pictures up online, I got to trust that they've really done their homework on this. Because otherwise you get sued into oblivion if it's not true. Well, they've now found the forensic analysis matching that female former U.S. Capitol Police officer's gait is a 94 to 98% match to the unique stride of the long-sought January 6th pipe bomb suspect, according to the Blaze. A source close to the investigation, congressional investigation, by the way, into January 6th, additionally telling the Blaze News evidence has emerged recently that pointed toward law enforcement possibly being involved in planning. Let me tell you something. I don't need, and this is the one thing I've done this entire time, I don't need a crystal ball. And I don't need some sort of official investigation to tell you something went right. You're telling me we got cameras everywhere. You couldn't pull a caper off on my street with all the doorbell cameras and security cameras and everywhere. And have you ever been to D.C.? I've been to the place where this pipe bomb was left. You got to be kidding yourself. You don't think they've known this entire time exactly who this was. Now, the question you've got to ask is, why did they hide it? Well, Pelosi's now resigning. President Trump has pardoned folks involved with the 2020 election. And we're finding out that he's taken steps to get somebody out who should never have gone into jail and been there this entire time. The whole narrative is crumbling, folks, and it's about time. But it's just the beginning. So I warn you, stay in the fight. Stay informed. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we'll try and bring a little bit more light to all of this. Our good friend Pat Colbeck joining us with more details about that good news after this. It is West Michigan Live.
Focused on what matters to you. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Your ambition just.
All right, folks. Let's see. I got Pat Colbeck in here right now. Let's do a little test if we can. Make sure he looks good. He's always a pro. I'm sure he will. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Top of the morning to you. Doing good.
Is that coffee or water?
It's water.
Well, it's not the strong stuff. It's just a little H2O.
I think I've had 5 cups of coffee my whole life, and all of them have had about 4 packs of sugar.
Oh, okay. Not a coffee guy. Didn't know that.
No.
You're just naturally full of this energy, it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, we have caffeinated water, Caffeine Joe.
But that's good. Well, Pat, thank you for doing this. We did get some good news last night. We're going to talk about that from these pardons. But there seems to be, to me, overall a major shift happening right now in the awareness of the population, which is, I think, the biggest piece here. And, I was with Pastor Sewell a couple weeks back, and he was going through the cases that they have in Detroit and what they're looking at as far as the outright theft of votes that is happening. And more people, I think, are waking up to this. And it's not just people on our side, which I think is kind of interesting. It's people all across the board that don't really maybe necessarily consider themselves to have a political home, or if they do, maybe they've always voted Democrat. But this kind of thing is it's very important, and I'm glad that it's happening. That's why I want to talk to you today, by the way, get a little bit of an update on this and what the meddling kids are up to.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons it's been so difficult to get the word out is that they actually had a deliberate op, if you will, to suppress the release of this information. I mean, Congress put it out in a congressional report a few years back. They highlighted how there was an organization called the Election Integrity Partnership that was actively colluding with agencies in the federal government that included CISA, Global Engagement Council, and the E.I. Isaac Center to actually suppress the release of information around what really happened during the 2020 election. And these involve big media, big tech, and they're actively colluding to suppress the release of information. So the fact that it's taken a while to get the word out shouldn't be a surprise to anybody when you're trying to fight the whole federal government to get the truth out.
Hey, don't forget all of the social media censorship that we've all had to go through. So I finally got an email from YouTube. It's been a couple of weeks back, and they go, we've reviewed our terms and found that you are not in in violation of our community guidelines. This account was banned in like 20 or 21, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
you've got to be kidding me. And I went back and looked at it. There's not a lot of people on that account, but I thought, man. Yeah. So what now? Where do I go to get my all of that back? My reputation back. Now I know this is, where do you go
all
for
the people targeted in that Operation Arctic Frost? President Trump issued a pardon, got our Michigan 16 electors, and all the electors, alternate slate electors in the other states. Mike Lindell was targeted by Operation Arctic Frost. Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell. I mean, their livelihoods were taken away. Mike's lost hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of this. They kicked him out of all the big box stores. They debanked him. They went after his suppliers, even his international suppliers, his Giza sheets. He goes over and gets that from Egypt. They actually told them and threatened them, don't you dare lend him a line of credit to go off and procure this material here. I mean, no, these guys need to go to jail. And I'm happy to say, I mean, here we are on the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps today. Thank you guys all for your service. It's fitting that I think we're starting to see evidence that these enemies of the U.S., both foreign and domestic, are finally going to get their comeuppance. I said a long time ago, I said, stay patient. September and October in particular are going to signal the start of the wave of indictments. And sure enough, we saw 5 indictments issued in September and October, starting with James Comey, Letitia James, John Bolton. We had 2 Antifa guys that were attacking the ICE facility in Texas that were indicted. And good old John Brennan got subpoenaed. Peter Strzok got subpoenaed. Lisa Page got subpoenaed. and Trump, I don't know how the heck I missed this, but on November 7th, Trump issued a declaration making last week anti-communism week. And so for those of you who don't know, James Comey was a communist appointed by Barack Obama to head the FBI. John Brennan was a communist appointed by Barack Obama to head the CIA. So we now know how he was planning on doing his fundamental transformation of America.
30 seconds, got to jump back on the air. Thank you, sir. Hang on 1 second. By the way, folks, that's all free if you're watching behind the scenes live. We haven't even gone on the air yet. We'll see if we can get to some of that on the air too. Hang on. Stand by. Here we go. Thanks to the folks joining us this morning. Back at it.
Innovation. Fast, friendly, amazing.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck, and you're listening to West Michigan Live with our good friend, Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Big news over last night, and the find out era is upon us as things really start to shake up and shake out. How are they? President Trump, we get news, has pardoned a load of folks that were, I think, politically prosecuted and persecuted in this 2020 election search for truth. Among them, Mayor Rudy Giuliani and many others. And one woman who is still in jail to this day, the DOJ trying to free Tina Peters. We'll talk about that. Pat Kolbeck joins us now. Pat, first, your reaction. Let me talk to you about, I don't know how much you've dug into this J6 bomber information that the Blaze has come out with, but we've known all along. It doesn't take, I think, a rocket surgeon, in which Pat is, it doesn't take one to see that something was way off. There were shenanigans happening that day after everything that we know. Now, one of the Capitol Police officers, and I saw a report over the weekend, I don't know, I have to verify this, but she may have been this individual who they say is the one that dropped the pipe bomb, might have been one of the first to fire into the crowd that day. I'm sorry, but this, get the rope ready, folks, because this, to me, it's all becoming much more crystal clear, even more so than it ever has been. This is wild.
Justin, you there?
Did we drop off? Did you lose me?
You dropped off, but I was still here. I was going, it looks like the baton was handed off.
Yeah. All of this to me is very wild. What's your reaction to it?
Yeah, well, for those of you who've been following this for a while, by the way, my dog's got his own opinion on the matter here. You probably hear him in the background here. This is no surprise. I mean, before January 6th, we had Millie Weaver, who I know you know. Sure. She had undercover whistleblower video of people actively planning the insurrection. I mean, we had a bunch of leftists that were actually federal employees and federal contractors that were actively planning with tactical maps, scenario planning, simulations, all this kind of stuff. They were planning the insurrection that occurred on January 6th. I mean, they were trying to figure out who's going to break the windows, who's going to go off and instigate this, who's going to instigate that. They wanted to be in a crisis, but they wanted to be in a crisis that they created. And so this is no surprise that this is getting out, because some of the same actors that were behind that J6 planning were actually federal employees and federal contractors. So the fact that we have a CIA employee here that was engaged in planning the pipe bomb should be of no surprise to anybody who's been following any of this. And I just encourage you to go out to our vocal.com platform, vocl.com, and click on the Election Crime Bureau. In there, you got video footage of this whistleblower footage of them actively planning that. So, and by the way, if you got nothing to hide, why would you destroy all the evidence? That's what the January 6th committee did, prior to the Republicans taking control of the House. So it all adds up to the fact that these guys knew what they were doing. It was seditious conspiracy. It was treason. And now we're into the phase of holding them accountable.
All right, so I got to ask this, because I know this is the next thing that I'm getting, and I understand it because I feel it too. When do we start to see the arrests? And you've got some I think you can point to already for this. But what do you say to those folks?
Well, number one, what have we seen recently? We saw that there's impeachment papers have been drawn up for Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg is an example of some of the blockage that President Trump has faced with all of his executive actions to date. What we're identifying is what Stephen Miller calls judicial tyranny. And that needs to be addressed first, because if you put in an indictment for a serious crime and then you run it through the court system, they're not going to be subject to double jeopardy if you get a corrupt judge that comes in there and issues a ruling like Boasberg did for Ray Epps, who was at the middle of all this January 6th planning. It was pretty clear. He's tied. I wrote about it extensively in my book, The 2022. Ray Epps had some very, very suspicious activities, and he got off with no impact whatsoever. And Judge Boasberg was at the center of that. And he's been at the center of a lot of other controversies, including authorization of the investigations and subpoenas around Operation Arctic Frost. So I think first step before we start seeing people arrested is that we start addressing the corruption that's currently existing within our judicial system. And by the way, I'd also call for an investigation into Judge Timothy Kenny. He's now retired in Michigan, but he's the one who funneled all the election crime lawsuits into his court. And anyway, I think he definitely needs to have a peek and see where all the financial crumbs for his retirement come from.
Pat Cole back with us right now. And of course, as we dig into the latest stories, a couple of big ones over the weekend. This story from The Blaze that a January 6th pipe bomber has been identified, former Capitol Police officer, as a forensic match, according to their reporting. This comes, as we see last night, the latest stories. Trump pardons Rudy Giuliani and others. It's a whole list of folks, and we'll go through some of these here. But, Pat, this is good news for these people who just really wanted answers, wanted truth, and I don't care how it's been spun in the media. These people have really done nothing wrong. And I mean, that even goes back to the electors here in Michigan who were wrongly persecuted, prosecuted, gone after politically. They've been prisoners. In fact, one of them still is Tina Peters. We'll talk about her in just a moment. But the things that they've gone through, and you mentioned Arctic Frost when we were off the air, but that's a whole nother piece that just really pulls the curtain back and shows people what these folks were willing to do.
Yeah, and it's really all tied together, and I think we're going to see that in the coming weeks, which has been why it's been so difficult for folks like me and you to be able to get our arms around all these tentacles of what was going on. But this Operation Arctic Frost, they went after bank records, they went after phone records, they went after a lot of stuff maliciously, where the Fourth Amendment rights were just thrown out the window. And so that is going to be a centerpiece, and it's got a lot of other tentacles into some of the other news stories that I think you're seeing out there as well. So there's more news that's coming, and you alluded to this earlier, but I'm looking forward. In particular, one of the best signals that we're on the right track is going to be the release of Tina Peters. She's the former Mesa County clerk, Mesa County, Colorado clerk that was imprisoned for 9 years to make an example out of her. Because she did the unconscionable. She actually sought to prevent the violation of federal law when she took a forensic image of her Dominion election management system server prior to Dominion servicing it, and then another image of it after. And so she actually documented the destruction of election records in an election that was being contested in Colorado. And because she, exposed what happened there and exposed a lot of the vulnerabilities, and the fact that there are multiple election databases active in the Mesa County, Colorado election, when there's only supposed to be one active at any given time, according to EAC requirements, she was thrown in jail for 9 years. So just recently, a memo, internal memo in the federal government got leaked, and it shouldn't have been leaked, that highlighted that the Federal Bureau of Prisons was going to be looking to take custody of Tina Peters from the Colorado Department of Corrections, and this is leaked by somebody obviously that wanted to stop this transfer. But the goal is, once you transfer Tina from the Colorado State Prison to the federal prison, she can be put under whistleblower protection and released from jail. And that's what we're looking for. She never should have been in jail. She's been there for over a year, and she's a Gold Star mom. Here we are in the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. And her son was a Navy SEAL. It's just, and the Marines are a branch of the U.S. Navy, for those who don't know. I would just love to see her get out of prison in the next couple of days here. But there's some people still inside the federal government that are trying to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, we're going to have more on this as the time comes along. But imagine that. They've taken this whistleblower. They locked her up to silence her. And it looks like now, according to some of the reports we're seeing, Ed Martin and a few others saying that, yeah, it's coming. She's going to be eventually let out, and thank God for that. Continue to pray for her and her safety. But Pat, it's people like her, Gold Star mom, again, that have stepped up. You know this, you've seen it. Mike Lindell, many others that have put it all on the line, and they've lost so much. Mike's lost millions of dollars, but where do you go to get your reputation back? They've pulled him off of television. They've come after these guys in their bank accounts. And some folks, even here in Michigan, we found out, wrapped up in this Arctic frost nonsense. Now we know what our government was actually doing against us.
Yeah, it's unconscionable. And thankfully, I think we're in the mode where we're going to start seeing the wheels of justice start rolling. Like I said, I think the first thing we got to do is clean up the justice system right now. I think holding Boasberg accountable for his actions is a good step in the right direction on that front. The other thing we need to be doing is make sure that we have secure elections going into the 2026 election cycle. And so now's not the time to rest on the good news that's starting to come out of DC. We have to be active and proactive on making sure that we have a secure 2026 election. Because as you know, Justin, I mean, in Michigan, we hit the reset button on state government. I mean, governor's up for grabs, lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, the control of the House, control of the Senate. We have a U.S. Senate race. We have 2 Supreme Court justice races. All that is on the table. And if we don't have a secure election, and guess who's running our elections right now? Jocelyn Benson, who's been found by 7 different courts to have issued unlawful election directives. She's the one at the helm right now, guiding our elections. And she's also on the ballot for governor on the apparent Katie Hobbs plan to become governor. So this is no time to sit and rest. I know I'm tired about election. I'd love to cover any other topic besides elections, Justin. I mean, this is, I would rather move on to do something else with my life. But I tell you, until these guys are held accountable for what they did and what they continue to do with the integrity of our elections, we can't rest.
The wheels of justice may turn slow, but at least they're turning, folks. That's the good news about this. I mean, you can't hide this stuff forever. You really can't, and eventually it has to come to light. That's what we're watching happening right now. Somebody asked Pat about Mike Lindell. How's Mike been? What's the update? I know they continue to battle with him, trying to take. They will not stop. I said this at the beginning of the show, and I don't think until people actually grasp this, we're really going to be able to fully equipped to be able to fight. You have to understand that the folks on the right, or let's just call them truth, logic, and common sense folks, the people that still have reason, and we're grounded in reality, right? We don't want to save the country, it appears, at least anyway. We don't want to save the country as much as those folks on the left, the communists, some of the most extreme factions of the country want to destroy it. And it's shown by what they're willing to do. So I just put that out there. We're continuing to see folks under attack on a daily basis.
Yeah, what we're facing is an enemy that's working 24/7, 365 to make government as consequential in your life as possible. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, we got folks like yourself and myself, Justin, that want to make government as inconsequential in our lives as possible. So we tend to stay out of the public policy arena and trust in our elected representatives. That's what happens in a constitutional republic. Well, we're President Trump declared last week anti-communism week for a reason. And that's what we're fighting against. All these No Kings rallies. The sponsors for those rallies are Communist Party USA, Democratic Socialists of America. We had a New York City communist that was elected a mayor there. So we are in a battle against people that want to use government as a tool to control your lives, and we got to stop them. And one of the best, little Dutch boys, if you will, putting his finger in the dike and trying to stop this flood of communism, flood of corruption has been Mike Lindell. And last week he was up in D.C. shaking the trees with all the senators in the wake of this Operation Arctic Frost revelation. He was now saying, hey, we knew they targeted me. That's what he was saying, all these guys. Now that they've targeted you, maybe you want to do something about it. And there seems to be a lot of movement towards that end. And I'll just give you a quick, funny little story, is that when Mike was going around the Senate offices up on Capitol Hill, he bumped into a certain senator in the elevator. Guess who it was? Senator Adam Schiff. And and Adam Schiff's eyes just bulged out of his socket, and you can see behind there is like, I thought we destroyed you already. But Mike is still plugging away, and he's shaking the trees out there and seeing ways that we can hold these guys accountable for their actions, and frankly, seeking ways that we can finally secure our elections up in DC. That's what Mike's been about since day one.
And it's funny you mentioned Schiff, because there's a guy that could end up behind bars for mortgage fraud for a completely different reason. And it's interesting to watch that, all those ways that they were trying to get to Trump, they were all doing the same things. They were all, this was all projection. And now we're being able to go after these people and bring them to justice. And this may just be the beginning, maybe the first domino shoot a fall here. But this is really interesting. All right. If people want to support Mike, because I know he's in the fight and they want to keep up in touch with you and all these things that are going on, Pat, what's the best way for them to do that?
Couple things. First of all, go to mypillowtrial.com. And right now I'm working, and this is what I'll be focused on for most of this week, is I'm working on his court exhibits in support of his defamation lawsuit where Smartmatic and Dominion are suing him for defamation. And I've got like a 172-page brief and growing there, but he needs help from paralegals and everybody else to go off and dot the I's and cross the T's on all this information and put it into legalese for these court filings. But the other thing is, spread the word about why Mike was right on all of his assertions. And I'll tell you, one of the best ways of doing that is to go read a book. I wrote a book on the 2020 election. I wrote it as an outsider looking in, but there's a book called Stolen Elections by Ralph Pizzullo that's from the insider's perspective. These were the guys who actually stole elections in 72 countries. They highlighted how these same people that were behind the theft of these elections in those other countries are actually working to undermine elections in America right now. They're actually senior election officials in very influential places around America. And that book, Stolen Elections, is a page turner. Once you see that, once you read it, you're going to understand how all this stuff starts fitting together. And you're also going to understand why we have a full up naval fleet off the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah, that is interesting right about now, isn't it? They had an election that was stolen as well, didn't they?
Lots of elections that were stolen there. And what you're going to find out is that Smartmatic, which, by the way, is the same DNA that's found in Dominion voting systems, it's found in ESNS, it's found in Hart InterCivic voting systems. They all have the same basic components inside of them. What you'll find out is that Smartmatic's actually owned by the Venezuelan government. Venezuelan government is owned and ran by a Cartel de Sols. It's a narco-terrorist group, but they've also branched out into another business service line, and that is stealing elections. It turns out that it's a lot less messy when you try to steal an election and via subverting the electronic voting systems than it is to conduct a military coup. So they started their own little business line around election theft, and they use this Smartmatic tool to go off and facilitate that. And so, by the way, this isn't just me saying it, that's in the book. Go to Stolen Elections. Also, they have a website that has a lot of this information where they actually bring the receipts in support of these assertions, and it's called StolenElections.com. stolenolectionsfacts.com. Stolenolectionsfacts.com. So get spun up on it, spread the word. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, you got to win the battle in the court of public opinion before you can win in the courts of law. And so that's another way of helping, Mike.
Fantastic update. Appreciate you being here, Pat. Thank you for all the news, and thank you for all you've done in the fight. Keep it up. God bless.
I appreciate it. Not going to lie, Justin.
You too, brother. Back with more in just minutes, giving you a chance to join the program at any time, folks. We'll wrap things up on this 250th birthday, the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your courage.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, November 10th. I'm Robin Poffman. The ACLU here in Michigan at it again. The radical far-left group busy defending the practice of doxing ICE agents. This is a process of exposing where they live. This unfortunate practice follows a dramatic 1,000% spike in attacks against ICE officers across the nation. Attorney General Dana Nessel is requesting a public hearing on the proposed massive data center in Saline Township. Many residents oppose the project. The Whitmer administration has been trying to fast-track it without outside input. And as folks here in Michigan gear up to mark Veterans Day on Tuesday and honor all those who have served our country, Vice President J.D. Vance, the keynote speaker at the U.S. Marine Ball in Washington, D.C.
For every Marine who came home and every Marine who didn't, here's to 250 more years of our glorious Marine Corps. God bless you.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
As the holiday.
All right, folks, rolling right along. We are I tell you, this drinking from a fire hose today. Yeah, we'll give you the latest. Yeah, and tomorrow, by the way, Marine birthday today, and then tomorrow is Veterans Day. As you know, we got a whole list of places where veterans can go and be honored throughout the day. By the way, I don't know what time I got it. It'll come up on social media today. I'll share it with everybody, and maybe I'll try and get it in the stack later today too, so you can go check this out. Great way to plan the day if you're a veteran. I mean, everything from free donuts to free breakfast to dinner and all of it, and it's a fantastic way to do that. I know a good friend, Johnny Brand, does a lot of that too, so we'll try and make sure that's added in to the conversation. All right. Gotta get back on the air real quick if we can. And then we'll wrap this show up. All right, here we go, folks. About a minute 30 left. If you missed that link for the stolen election book, I'm going to give you that too coming up. Plus, mypillow.com/Justin, another great way to support Mike Lindell. Mypillow.com/Justin. Save big on all these great sales as we get even closer. Some gifts there that you want to get either at MyPillow or mystore.com/Justin. Help Mike Lindell in the fight continue to keep things moving, because we know now more than ever, it's just that important. Just that important. All right, here we go. Back after it. Stand by for news. All right. 50 years down. Now, the 50th anniversary passing the day, 29 crew members aboard dying in the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And Gordon Lightfoot's estate will make a boatload today. This will be the day that pays for college for some of those kids, I would imagine. What a classic. That's going to do it for us. We're back again tomorrow. Don't forget the after show, the show after show, and all the things we talked about today. Live or archive. You can listen to justinbarclay.com, the iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcasts. Make it a great one. God bless.
On earth as it is in heaven, give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, the power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio. Now, the latest news from West Michigan and beyond. News Radio Wood 1300 and 1069 FM.
Good morning. It's 10.
All right, folks. Stand by. We got after show, the show after the show we're going to get to here in just a moment. We got the latest and the greatest. Make sure we cover everything that we missed and even some more. All right, here we go. Stand by. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Welcome to the after show, the show after the show. What an amazing after show today and every day. Boy, a chance to have conversations that you just won't hear anywhere else. In fact, I got some good ones coming up today. Our good friend Missy Malone, Maha Missy, with a bit of a Maha update. If you missed out, we had a conversation for the folks. This is Locals First. And yeah, we did. We had a great conversation on Friday for the folks on Locals, the VIPs. Now, you missed it. That's okay. We're going to give you, lots of you, really, the first time chance to actually hear what we had to say in that conversation. And part of that, actually, I don't know if you saw it, but did you see the guy passing out? This is kind of crazy. Passing out at the press conference for the drugs. A big pharma guy passing out at the press conference. Woo! I don't know about you. That's a little wild to watch. He's there and he's pimping the drugs, and then he's like passing out. Thankfully he's okay, but that's not a good look. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. First, thanks to Mike Lindell. And a great reminder, he's in the fight. We appreciate all that he does. You can help support Mike and this very program. How about my slippers? The same here, just $59.98. You get my coffee 50% off. Now, coffee's gone through the roof, and it's not because of Trump. It's because of weather conditions they've had in the areas where they grow the coffee beans. A lot of people won't tell you that. The left and the media, they won't get into all that. Plus, the classic MyPillow sales underway as well. MyPillow or mystore.com/Justin. Great way to get ready and to get gear and goodies and gifts for everybody. Maybe even put yourself on that list. Naughty or nice. Well, the snow's here, so I guess we have to kind of face it, right? Is that tis the season, or it will be before too long anyway. So just a reminder, and again, you can help support Mike and this program when you go to mypillow.com/Justin or mystore.com/Justin and do just that. Obviously, every little bit counts, and we appreciate it. I know Mike appreciates it in the fight. He's a patriot, and God bless Mike. Use promo code Justin, and you'll get massive discounts on it all. Massive discounts on it all. In fact, okay. I'll do one other quick little thing here, and we'll get things rocking and rolling. Did you see, by the way, the VP, the Vice President of the United States, maybe 48, in fact, J.D. Vance at the Marine Corps Ball and Celebration, 250 years.
The Marine Corps has done a lot for me. The Marine Corps has done more for me than I can possibly repay. But the thing that I promise, so long as I have the honor of being your Vice President, is that I will continue to honor the United States Marine Corps. I will continue to remember that you are the most profound warfighting technology that exists on the planet Earth, and I will fight every single day on this 250th birthday of the United States Marines to make sure that the next 250 years is just as damn proud as the first 250. Happy birthday, Marines. It's an honor to be with you.
There you go. What a great, and sort of a shift in the whole, just the whole way things have worked. And it's by the way, it's a very welcome shift. Did you see? It's happening right now. So, they've been doing. I think it's been great. Every day they go live. Speaker Johnson comes out and he talks about what's happening. In fact, we got an update happening right now. Let's go ahead and dip into this.
Guaranteed back pay for all federal workers who have been made to endure these hardships over the last several weeks. And it also includes passage of 3 appropriations bills, which we're grateful to be moving through the process. That is the Military Construction Veterans Affairs bill, it's the Agriculture bill, and the Legislative Branch bill. The Senate will be back in session this morning to finish their job, and we're certainly praying that they do. They'll need unanimous consent from all senators to fast-track their final vote. As you know, there are some procedural hurdles that one or more could throw in the way, but we certainly hope that they won't do that because so many people across this country are desperate for the government to reopen. At the very moment that they do that final vote, I will call all House members to return to Washington as quickly as possible. We'll give a 36-hour formal and official notice so that we can vote as soon as possible to pass the amended CR bill and get it to the president's desk. As you all know, and he said as recently as last night, I was with him, and he told the press, he said, we want to get the government open. He's very anxious to get the government reopened and to end the Schumer shutdown. We all are. With regard to the travel challenges, I spoke yesterday at some length with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, my former colleague and good friend, and he lamented the serious situation that we have with air travel in the U.S. He's bent over backwards, as all members of the administration and the cabinet have done in all of their areas of jurisdiction, to try to keep the government working for the people and to mitigate the pain and the harm. But the problem we have with air travel is that our air traffic controllers are overworked and unpaid, and many of them have called in sick. That's a very stressful job, and even more stressful exponentially when they're having trouble providing for their families. And so air travel has been grinding to a halt in many places. And as of Sunday, nearly half of all domestic flights and U.S. flights were either canceled or delayed. And it's a very serious.
Ready to strap in? It's going to be a heck.
By way of reminder, I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House. You need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest. There'll be long days and long nights here for the foreseeable future to make up for all this lost time that was imposed upon us. I want to close with something that's important. I think it's important to say that this is genuine. I mean this sincerely. We applaud the 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent senator who did the right thing. They decided to put principle over their personal politics. And my urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today. So stay tuned for more. Thanks so much.
There he is. All right, so that's the latest. That's the latest update. And by the way, it's a good update. It's the best news we could get. The government's going to be back open. Is it the best news? I think probably the best. If I look back on this strategy, I think about 15 days in, we would have nuked the filibuster, taking control. Right as people were about starting to sort of feel some of the pain before the SNAP benefits went away. And Republicans, then Trump would have, I think, looked a little bit more victorious. They would have been champions of these folks. And I think there would have been an opportunity then to push through everything else that they wanted to get done. I don't know that folks in Congress had the stomach to nuke the filibuster, so that's the only question I have about it all. But I think if I were going to say that the best way to go, that probably would have been, just in my estimation, a little bit better of a move forward. In this situation, Democrats caved. They did get the elect. Now, these elections, they were going to go their way no matter what. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, maybe they wouldn't have won as much. I don't know, maybe. A lot of these elections, I'm not surprised Virginia went the way it is. I'm not surprised New York City went the way it did. I'm not surprised New Jersey did. These aren't surprises to me. We talked about that candidate strength and stuff last week. So I'm not surprised by those scenarios. I would just tell you again, it's sort of par for the course on what I expected. So anyway, that's just my thought process on it all. And I do have some clips and things that I want to play from the weekend. But first, I want to give you, and before we've actually released it fully to the public, this will be the first time a lot of you actually hear this, our Maha update with Maha Missy last week. And we talked about a couple of big updates, the things that took place. And I'm telling you, one of the moments that happened inside the Oval Office that is, I don't even watching this, I still think maybe one of the crazier things I've seen in a long time. The guy that passes out, the drug guy that passes out right there in front of everybody. Things of the Maha update with Maha Missy. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And man, oh man, every week we want to kind of give you an update, if we can, of some of those big stories that are happening, and the ones that are probably having the most impact in the Maha movement. It's still happening and going strong. They've sort of ignited, I think, a fire in the bellies of a lot of the Maha moms and folks who have just really been champions along the way. Maha Missy Malone is one of those folks. And of course, she's with folks at My Pure Health Solutions, healthwithjustin.com. We'll say thank you to those folks for powering the program today. We'll get into it. By the way, I'll tell you how you can join me in the process in my transformation. I know that making America healthy again, one person at a time, it starts with me. So as a dad, somebody got to get in the fight, got to make sure I'm doing everything that I can. I got to get as healthy as I can. And I've actually got some really big news I want to share with you guys today, and we'll do just that. I know we're excited for some of those updates. But Missy, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being here with us today, and thank you as always.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here and to talk to like-minded people.
We got Karen in the chat who's also joined the challenge. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here with us today as well. And she's excited to hear what you guys have to say. I said this is one of these days where it's like a tsunami, a tidal wave of news, and some of it you have to look for and you have to watch. I want to talk about first. This is not the kind of week that Big Pharma wants to have. Okay, and we've been kind of on them, and for a good reason. But they had a big drug recall, one of the biggest that they've got out there, one of the biggest drugs recalled. They had a guy in the Oval Office pass out yesterday. They're supposed to make this big announcement about Ozempic and prices and things like that. And this guy passes out in the Oval Office. We can get some of these stories in a little bit. But that doesn't look good to me. I'm thinking about what does that mean, and what's because I'm always looking at the thing behind the thing, what's the symbolism behind all of that?
Symbolism. Yeah, I don't know about symbolism, or is it an act of God that we saw? I mean, how else in the world, if I don't even know where to start with all this. I mean, the Ozempic shot is so lethal to the human body, and it's been promoted. It's been promoted. I mean, we've seen a difference. I have never seen what I would say like a decline ever in my company that I've been using now for over a dozen years in the weight loss realm, and I've seen this is the first time I've ever seen like a decline in people coming in to use, get healthy and to lose weight
Because they
naturally.
figure if I can just take a shot, why don't I do that? But maybe they don't think about what the side effects are going to be, and some of the really horrific ones. And then I know people that are on these shots, and I'm like, I don't think they're working. I don't know. I mean, I don't see any progress, which is a whole nother question.
Well, it's literally there. I mean, if anyone didn't remember what just happened in COVID days of what was going on when they were injecting the injection from the COVID and the mRNA and everything inside that vaccine shot, is what you're injecting in the body. You're injecting something into the human body that was divinely designed by God. And the toxins that are going in, I have seen so many people and people that have come in to see us and use our system after they use the shots. I had one guy that his esophagus kept, he had to keep going in and have an ablation surgery on his esophagus because the acid kept coming back in because the little flapper that keeps the acid from coming back up into your lungs and everything, or up into your throat, it stopped working. That became paralyzed. And so all the acid kept coming in and is eroding his esophagus. So he had to keep going in for surgery. And he finally, I mean, I'm just like, I keep hearing the worst stories. And I had a sweet lady out in Vegas. She heard about me because another person like you that endorses us. She's out in Vegas. She works in the school and she said every single teacher here is on the Olympic shot. And she goes, they're walking around and don't even look healthy. They look great, but they're excited that they've lost weight. And so when she is signed up to do our program, I was talking to her at the following week, and one of her dearest friends who was on the shot just dropped dead, had been totally healthy. And I'm like, and the stories, and when you find out that I've read and I've seen that if people are using the Wegovy and the Ozempics at the same time. I didn't even know that was a thing. But there are people out there. That means there is a doctor prescribing Wegovy and Ozempic, and it's been found that you have a 100% guarantee that you'll have thyroid cancer within 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody's developed. I mean, it's just like, wake up. And so my God, thank God. How did it happen? I don't know. I think you and I talked that there's no word coincidence doesn't belong in the Bible. So I'm like, what are the odds that somebody passed out right there in front of the nation, the world, and they happen to be talking about Ozempics?
So on one hand, you watch the administration and RFK is there, and I think some of these guys are, they're excited to see people get results, but some of them, I think, need a little bit of maybe there's some of a wake up call, and maybe that's what some of this was as to why. Because I've heard people ask, why are they pushing this? Listen to
this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose the American public because of this agreement. We'll lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. Well, it is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country.
So I think that the reason why he's so excited is because he knows how unhealthy we are. And he says, people need to see this and they need a wake-up call. But the question is, Missy, is what are the side effects of all those people getting
Right.
on this, and who knows what happens.
Well, you look at the state of Michigan, this is I'm like one of those people, I look behind the scenes of all of it, and he if he comes out and says anything contrary about something that is being pushed by the pharmaceutical industry, which is a multi-billion-dollar lobbying industry, and the people that run the show, this Wall Street, it's Wall Street talking. So, and they have projected how much money they're planning on making on this Ozempic shot because they're not making the money that they were on COVID anymore. So they've got to keep the people that are getting, what do you call it? The people that are buying the stocks in these companies.
Sure.
They've got to keep the stockholder people happy. And they don't have the money anymore from COVID. So what's the next cash cow? Here it is. It's Ozempic. And then what's going to happen? So in the state of Michigan, there, from what I've heard, there's a $20 million in the budget, for the Michigan budget, they're going to put people that are on Medicaid. They're going to allot $20 million a month for the Medicaid people. From what I've heard, another radio show that I'm on, Trucker Randy, he's all over this too, because it's like if we give a $20 million budget in Michigan for Ozempics, and the side effects is aggressive brain cancer, breast cancer, your stomach paralysis, colon paralysis. I'm like, vision loss, teeth are rotting. There is a huge lawsuit out there against Ozempic. But the thing is, they're so lucrative, and the pharmaceuticals make so much money that they've already figured out how many multiple billions they're going to make, and they've already set aside maybe 10 billion for lawsuits. They've already got that figured in the budget. And so how do you go out there and anything that Trump says or RFK Jr. says, the Mockingbird media crucifies him, and because people have forgot to have critical thinking skills, critical flippant thinking skills. What is so different? We are the sickest nation in the entire world, and we consume the majority of the entire world's pharmaceutical medications. It's like, wake up. It's not working. It's not working. Yeah,
I can't imagine. And on top of this, to see what actually happened yesterday, like we just said,
right?
It really is sort of a divine moment almost. And I'm just praying for this guy. I hope he's okay, But at the same time, like, watch what happens in the Oval Office. It's a guy who's there to he's an executive at that company, there to make that announcement, and he collapsed.
You okay?
Right in front of him.
Where did you say?
Yeah. They couldn't even make the announcement because I guess fully because of this situation.
Sure.
The president's there. They've got Dr. Oz rushing to his help, and people running out of the office, RFK running out of the office to get help. But again, this can't. It's just got to wake some people up. I would hope.
Literally, and what you've seen, and what I've been, a lot of the people that are like woke up, like you and I, what we've been being told is like, you've got to show them. Who's them? Americans. You've got to show them, because think about it. We are inundated with information. I mean, people are blowing through street light. I mean, people are texting. There is so much noise in the world. Where in the world do you look? Where are you really going to get your attention? How do we have your attention? We have your attention right there. Divine act of God? Sure. I mean, it has to be a divine act of God, or else, you can go conspiracy, and did someone push a button and cause him to collapse? I mean, was it staged? I mean, I don't think it was staged, because the pharmaceutical company here, they just lost a little bit of hopefully a lot of credibility. Hopefully
It'll
people
be interesting to see what happened to their stock price too after all that.
Absolutely. And that's just
But,
it.
you've got that story. Then there's another story. By the way, this whole conversation, And there's much, we're not even halfway through it. I just wanted to give you a preview. We're going to put this up everywhere. Later on tonight, I'll debut it online. It's one of our Maha Missy updates. So we do all the Maha Make America Healthy Again updates. And I can tell you, because you're here now, but if you want to see the whole thing, we cover a number of stories that are very important. The recall on the most popular drug in the world, why it's so popular, why it's the most prescribed drug in America, and what it's actually doing to people. This one is very concerning, especially, you might even be on it yourself and not even know. We're going to dig into that. You'll hear that tonight. And then my news, which is, I'm down again. So the story. I've done this before, and I'm in a new phase. So first time around, I dropped 40 pounds in 40 days. And I never felt better. So I was kind of taking my phases along, and I sort of got off at the end of the summer, or at the beginning of summer. I said I would take a little break. Then I said, okay, I got to come back. And particularly what I saw happen with Charlie Kirk. And I thought to myself, I heard what Charlie was doing and what kind of a difference he was making. I said, what the heck are you doing? Now it's time to get in the fight and make sure that you're able to fight and you're healthy enough. And so not just for my kids, but for the call that we all have, right? So I'm back at it. I'm down 21 pounds now, 21 pounds so far. And I think it's just in maybe 2-3 weeks that we've been in the process here. I feel better than ever. The pounds are great. That's fine, right? You can find out exactly what I'm doing and how maybe it helped for you as well. Without the shots, without the poisons, without any of that other weird stuff. This is all natural. There's a good friend, Trucker Randy, there. People getting off their medications, getting off sleep apnea machines, feeling better. To me, it's the clothes are fitting. Like my clothes are fitting so much better. And I have the energy that I used to have. Again, that energy through the roof, which is incredible. Healthwithjustin.com, by the way. If you want to go online, go to healthwithjustin.com, and you can ask Missy any question. You have questions for her about that. She's talked about her fight. She had a child that was born with autism, and what she did, she fought autism and won. That's an incredible story, too. Any of those questions that you have, she'd be happy to talk to you about them. But of course, she is, because the Maha movement has been so big, and because I think our health is so important in this country, not just, to our happiness, but also national security. So important. Healthwithjustin.com. Go find out how we're taking our lives back and our country back. And again, it starts with me. It starts with you, one person at a time. And it is. It's been incredible. And I can't wait to see more. Did you see, by the way, did you see President Trump last night? I got some clips I got to play for you before we blow out here altogether. Did you see President Trump last night at the football game? He's at the Lions game, Lions and Commanders, which is, again, Washington Commanders. What a weird name. This is Trump delivering the good news about the deal. He talked about it after he got back. I think they flew back from Mar-a-Lago, and they did this really cool thing in Air Force One right over the stadium. And then I think he flew from the stadium, I believe in Marine One. I don't know. He comes back and he gets an opportunity, and of course, reporters are going to ask him questions. He's always up for doing that because he always answers questions. And here he was talking about the deal on the shut.
Looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you.
Hands tonight, sir.
There you go. That's him. Unbelievable. And yes, fantastic. I've got to tell you, I look at this stuff and I think to myself, man, there were a couple of moments last night in the booth. You're never going to see, by the way, the last time a sitting president went to one of these primetime football games. And I actually did something on the television. This is something. I think it was It might have been 75. Might have been, 50 years ago.
Mr. President, thanks so much for joining us. Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Veterans Day weekend, the NFL salute to service. How meaningful is it for you to be here today? You just took part in the halftime ceremony honoring the military.
Well, we just swore in a tremendous group of young people, and that was an honor, and they are just fantastic, and they love, our recruitment's been record-setting. Since a year ago it was a disaster for the country, and now it's record-setting, so this was an honor to be here.
Gain of 5 on first down. Now, I know you go way back with the sport of football. You played at New York Military Academy. How old were you when you started playing football, and what were some of the life lessons you took out of it?
Well, I did. I played tight end, but I mean, it was not quite football like this. It was a little bit easier. It wasn't so tough. And we had a quarterback who didn't have a very strong arm. I would say 10 yards was a long pass.
So you were never tackled by a guy like Jonathan?
No, if I was tackled by him, I would never forget it. We didn't get to play you too often, I can tell you that. But we had a good time, and I loved it. I actually love playing football. We had a good time with it.
So we were trying to look up your stats, and we wanted to know, how many touchdowns did you have back then? 6, 7?
I'm not sure I had any. I'm not sure. It's a long time ago. But
there you are.
I did. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, at least you realize that I never tell a lie, right? That's very good. I haven't seen that picture in a long time.
First and 10, 46-yard line, with the Commanders trailing 32-10. So we'll take.
I don't know. By the way, there's like 8 minutes of this, and I don't know. I got to be careful about how much to even play because, I don't know. If they're going to say it's copyrighted or whatever they say. So did you see the flyover? That was one of the coolest parts. Here he is talking about it. So Air Force One flies over the game, and you'll get to see. I don't know. Here's just him talking about it.
Going to swear in a lot of great people right now. I'm a little bit late.
Well, it was a military game, by the way. He did a swearing in of some of those.
I just want to say, was that the greatest flyover ever? Nobody's ever done a flyover like that. So these are the best pilots in the world. They say whoever flies Air Force One, the best pilots. And we just saw that. That was great. So we're going to have a good game. Things are going along very well. Country's doing well. The Democrats have to open it up. Thank you very much, everybody.
Democrats have come to the table today.
Here he's just walking away. Let me see. Maybe I can find you. There was a moment he got some booze. Oh, but this is all that they're going to talk about. This is all the left will talk about. And some of the media today, there was a moment he got some booze. I imagine any of those present. But you think if Biden go up there, wouldn't get any booze? By the way, the most disrespectful part of this? This is happening while he's swearing these individuals in. It's one thing you want to boo this guy, but while they're being sworn in, that's just incredible disrespect.
I have said your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend.
It was cool. It was a cool moment. I don't know if it was as cool as the flyover. Okay, so here we have these are pictures and video. Pictures and video. Air Force One, because they're coming back from Mar-a-Lago, they do the flyover over the stadium there. And look at that.
Moments ago, Air Force One, high above Northwest Stadium here in Landover, Maryland, as the Lions have taken a 7-0 lead over the Commanders, and we are scheduled to chat with the Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump.
That was so cool. One of the coolest moments. There's the actual view from the plane. Wow! You never get to see that. You'll never get to see that. How cool. That's incredible. Do you know what's wild? Watch this, because I'm sure this is like Margot. So I don't know if you know, but Margot Martin is one of the folks who is like behind the scenes best of the best for President Trump. And she is incredible. She's always there with him. And a lot of times you'll see her in the background. She's taking the videos or the photos or stuff. And she's got, you talk about like the best job in the world. She's right there as history is happening. All this time, she's just got like a front row seat to it. It's incredible. Margot Martin is her name. This is probably Margot's video, but I want you to watch this. This is how cool. Just look what you're seeing it, but you probably don't even realize what you're seeing. They're flying over. You've got her taking, or whoever taking the video out of the wing here. And then do you see on the screen here inside the stadium, they've got video of Air Force One right here on their big screen. Oh my gosh. This is one of the coolest things you've seen in a long time. Look at that. That is incredible. And again, just another big moment for, I'd say, I guess, for the for the iconic nature of this administration, this president. It's just, I don't know, it's just really cool. Something else, and again, I don't know how much of this we're gonna see or not. Again, I believe it when I see it, kind of thing. But over the weekend, President Trump on Truth said, "Hey, he went in on tariffs and the people that are against him, and it basically, he says the tariffs are working." I would agree with him on that. They're working to get the trade deals done. The other thing I would agree with is that it seems to be, again, the stock market's higher than I think we had another big one today. We had another big day. I forgot to get you to update, but I think we had another big open. Stocks up as people were very excited about the government shutdown ending. So lots of green on the screen right now we're watching. So he's right about that. Then he says he wants to give everyone a check. He wants to give you a $2,000 dividend check. I saw a lot of people confused about what does that mean? Well, that's a stock. That's an investment term. That's a stock term. Dividend check means because we've done so well with this revenue into the country, he wants to turn around and give you money. Now people say, what about inflation? And I thought about this. This is one of the things that I thought, I don't know if I should, I'd like to see that. But see, inflation happens when we print money. This is not money we printed. This is money coming back into our country overseas. Yeah, I know some of you are going to say, but we pay the tariff. Well, that's sort of how it works. Consider it a rebate check. $2,000 goes a long way. It goes a long way. And I don't know about you. Would you be excited? Would you like to see a $2,000? Now, I would, he says, including everyone, but except high income people. So everybody gets a $2,000. Now, again, only citizens. Is what I would say. Taxpayers is what I would say too. Tax-paying citizens only. So that's just some of what we had today. Now, again, there's I got probably more and more. We could go for another hour if we wanted to, but again, we don't have all the time in the world. But fantastic, some big news, and if you haven't yet, make sure you share this broadcast so that people can see it. Even if we're not live, it'll stay up and we'll get into people's feeds. So now's the time to do that. If you haven't, please help us share that because people need to hear the story about the January 6th pipe bomb. They need to know the truth about what happened. They need to hear from Pat Kolbeck today. And all of this. Then again, they just don't get to see anywhere else. I still think nothing is free. No, it's the dividend. It is free because it's money that the government is taking in. You didn't have to pay for it. Some might say, well, maybe I paid for it in my, what I paid to buy, something that had a tariff attached to it or whatnot. I don't know about you, but I haven't really felt the impact of tariffs. That's just me. I have seen prices go up on some things, but not a lot. Beef, certainly, and coffee. But again, those aren't things that are because of tariffs, in my estimation. So it is interesting. I want you to think about that. We'll have that conversation in the days ahead as we continue. Hey, join us on the VIP. Folks, we appreciate you. Love to have you over. Join us at justinbarclay.com/locals today. All right, folks, over on Locals in the VIP hanging with us. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We've got, hang on. Let me make sure I keep that on.